Have you tried adding fire to your artwork but it doesn't look realistic? Or you can't work out how to make it feel more dynamic? Or maybe you just can't get that really cool glow that you see in other people's work? Well, in this video I'm going to give you 3 tips on creating better fire in your Photoshop artworks that will lead to more stylized and dynamic images. Stay to the end to see how I add even more realism by creating heat haze using only a classic Adobe filter. What's happening, people? I'm Clinton Lofthouse, a professional photographer and digital artist from the UK, and you're tuned into photomanipulation.com. This week I'm going to be giving you 3 beginner tips for adding fire to your Photoshop artworks. These little tricks will help you create more believable, more stylized and more dynamic fire. So let's jump straight into it with tip number 1. Overlays. There are many ways to add fire to your images, but the easiest and the best in my opinion is to use fire overlays. A fire overlay is an image of a flame or fire against a black background. Because it's against a black background, it means we can use blend modes to blend the fire seamlessly into your image. The blend mode to be used is screen, and what this does is hide any pixels darker than 50% grey, leaving us with only the pixels lighter than 50% grey, the flames. The flames are usually semi-transparent, so it helps to blend the flame in very easily. There are many fire overlays out there, but be sure to choose ones that look realistic and work with the image you are adding them to. One thing I like to do is build up a larger fire with multiple fire overlays. You can use the warp transform to bend the flames into other directions if needs be. Once you have placed your fire overlays, you may want to add some embers for realism. Again, this is super easy. Just find an overlay with embers in the image. Use the screen blend mode and blend it into your image. Just remember, heat rises, so most of the embers will be rising above the flames. But you can add some lower down if you want, for interest in the foreground and to create a little bit of depth. All the fire overlays in this image came from the photomanipulation.com fire pack. I'll link it in the description. So, right, let's jump on to tip number 2. Adding glow to your fire. To make your fire seem believable and dynamic, you need to add glow. Not only does the glow make the fire feel hot, it's great for stylizing your image. Adding the glow to the fire is very easy. All you need to do is create a blank layer and set it to linear dodge. Then choose a golden orange colour with the colour picker and with a soft brush paint it onto the fire overlay. You may need to play around a little bit with the colour as the blend modes can shift colours. Adding this glow is only the first step. We now need to add the finishing glow, the one that makes your fire feel even more realistic, the red glow. I always add this final red glow to all my fire manipulations. Again, this is super easy to do. First, create a blank layer and set it to colour dodge. Now choose a deep red, one that's not too bright. Then we paint on top of the glow we painted on earlier. Again, you may need to play around with the shade of red you use. This red glow though, we can even let it bleed over the edges as it creates a nice heat glow. See how much more dynamic it feels now. I do go over tricks like this and more in my Photoshop course, The Art of Composite. It's the best Photoshop course around for beginners with over 15 hours of learning. There is a link in the description. Right, let's move on to our third and final tip, adding heat haze. Now this little trick will really add a sense of realism to your images, and realism is what we want when we're trying to tell the fake. What is heat haze? Well, heat haze is a distortion in the air that the heat creates. If you've ever walked down a road on a hot day and you may have seen the air above the road bending and moving and waving a little bit, well, that's heat haze. And that also happens with large fires, so if we can add this effect to our image, then it will make our fire far more realistic. To create the heat haze, you will need to work destructively, so it's always best to keep it as the last step. So first you want to create a stamp visible layer using Ctrl, Alt, Shift and E. This creates a separate layer of all the layers combined. We then go to Filter and Filter Gallery. In the Filter Gallery we want to find the glass filter, which should be in the Distort filter options. Once the glass filter dialog pops up, we can see the effect in real time. As you can see, it adds a warped pattern over all of our image. We don't need to do much here, just decrease the distortion a little and then press OK. Once the effect is added, we then want to hide it with a layer mask. As you never want to globally add an effect like this, then all we need to do is paint the effect in using our layer mask and a wide brush. Like the embers, the effect would mostly be be above the flames, but don't be afraid to add some around the fire. The heat haze effect is subtle, but really adds that sense of realism we are going for. So that was our final tip. I hope you enjoyed the video and you now understand how to up your fire game. If you like this video, you may like my previous video on adding motion to your artworks, so be sure to check it out. Thanks guys. Peace!